Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra here with Pecan Porch Boutique. If you are new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. I have six, y'all. Yes, six project makeovers for y'all today. So, no time to waste. Let's jump right in. So for project number one, I found this sweet little sign at Goodwill. It was so well made already, y'all. Had the hanger on the back and everything. And I was like, I'm going to pick this up. So I did. I think I paid about $6 for it. So I have been seeing this usage of Sweet Pickens Extra Bond to create crackle. So I think Connie from the Painted Photographer kind of started this whole wave. And so I thought I'm going to give it a try. So after I sanded down the board and wiped it off, I'm going to come in with some of that Sweet Pickens Extra Bond. And I'm going to give it a really good layer all over the board. And now I'm going to use Sweet Pickens Milk Paint in the color Creamy to go over that Extra Bond. Because I want to see what this whole crackle thing is about using Extra Bond. Now I can tell y'all, it does smell. It's not like shellac. Shellac doesn't really have a strong smell, but this Extra Bond stinks. So do it in a ventilated area. But I'm going to give it several coats of Extra Bond while I am drying in between. And I can tell y'all, I got some good crackle. Okay, but before we get to the crackle, I'm going to I pulled out my swoosh stamp by IOD. It's the stamp with the cursive letters, and it's a pretty big stamp, so a lot of times I don't get to use it because, you kind of need space when you're using swoosh. But I'm just going to pull out my swoosh stamp, some of my black IOD permanent ink, and I am going to stamp up the beginning of what this sign is going to say. And because these are cursive letters, you have to put them on one by one. So it's kind of like writing your cursive. You have to just write one letter at a time. And so that's what I'm doing. You really can't use the thin mount to put these letters on. So I'm just going to finish getting these on. I'm going to keep it a surprise as to what this sign is going to say until the end, y'all. All right, now I am going to use this newest mold from Spring 2026, IODs Les Lapins mold. I just call them the rabbits, child. I'm not very good at French, y'all. It's the rabbits mold. So I'm going to come in with some, I don't even have no baking powder anymore, y'all. I'm using baking soda, I think. But, whatever is going to release my mold, that's what I'm using. And I'm using IODs. Actually, I think I used the last of my DOS clay on there. But I just, flour up my mold, pack in my clay, pull it back with my thumbs up to that micro rim, which is really good for helping you get a smooth, flat back. And then flip it over and let gravity pop my little rabbits out. So that's what I'm doing here in fast motion. Can you make out the sign yet? Probably not, but I'm going to use a little bit of my Titebond Quick and Thick now to attach these little rabbits. I made 3 of them. There's 3 different poses on this in this mold, so I used one of each. And so I'm going to put this little sitting rabbit in the middle of the board sign, and then the other two at the bottom ends. And just like that, y'all, this project is done. Let's take a look back at where we started with this good sign. It was really a good board. And let's take a look now at where we have come to. Welcome, y'all, to Floppy Hoppy Farms. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I also use IOD's spring garden mold to cast some of these little carrots to put in each corner. That with the swoosh stamp, the crackle from the extra bond. I painted the little rabbits different colors, and I added some pink ears. And I think this project really turned out great. I also used one of the little stamps from the apothecary labels to make a little date down at the bottom as to when Floppy Hoppy was established. So I really think this turned out well. I hope y'all do too. I had fun making it. And now onward, y'all, onward to project number 2. Oh my goodness, y'all, this is the project for you here. Now, my brother got me this big light bulb. It was a prop of some sort. It does light up too, from a garage sale. He paid $5 for it. And I had such a bright idea for this, y'all. You know how ideas are? When you get a bright idea, you get a spark. Well, I had a spark for this bulb. And let's see what happened. I started out using the IODs New Spring Release, Summer Release 2026 inlay called Little Lark. This is one of the smaller inlays, y'all. The first time that they've ever made a small inlay. And it's really full of like birds and nests and even some typography. So I wanted to put these inlays on this bulb. So that's what I'm doing here. You'll see me just cutting relief cuts. I'm laying down some liquid patina. I'm feeling so good about my idea, y'all. I'm laying it down. I'm spritzing it with water, tapping it in. And then I let it dry to touch like I do all of my inlays. And I go to pull it back. And look at here, will ya? It did not take. But then I was not deterred, y'all. I was not deterred. I said, okay, maybe the other one that I laid down will do it. So I did the same thing. I started to peel it up, and look, y'all, it did not take. There was something really weird about this plastic that this bulb is made out of that would not take. It would not let that image of that inlay take. So what do? Yep, I wipe it all off. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to do some transfers. So I pull out a transfer and I start to transfer. I thought, okay, that's what ideas are. Sometimes you have to change them, right? They don't always work, the first one. Well, the second one didn't work either, y'all. I don't know about this bulb, but there's something about that plastic that would not let the transfer stick either. But I was not deterred. I was not deterred. Because that's what ideas are about, right? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have to go back and tweak them, but you never give up. So I decided I'm going to stamp. So I'm using now IOD's newest summer release 2026 stamp. It's a 2-sheet stamp. It's called Nature's Etchings, and it's full of flowers and little bulbs and wreaths. And so I start to stamp this on using IOD's black ink, and voila, it worked, y'all. I was so darn happy. I didn't know what to do. So I'm just gonna keep stamping up these stamps, and I'm just gonna lay them all over this bulb. And my idea didn't work out in the beginning, but that's what ideas are about. You don't give up. You just keep going and you create something out of your idea. All right, y'all, let's take a look back at this light bulb idea that did not want to shine bright. But never give up on your ideas, y'all. Take a look now. I love how this turned out with those stamps. Kind of has a black and white feel. This stamp is so good, y'all. It's a 2-sheet stamp. It is so good. Summer 2026 stamp is available now on my website. I also use the typesetting stamp down at the bottom, the base of this bulb, to write all ideas welcome. Don't give up on your ideas, y'all. Tweak them, do whatever you have to, but don't give up. I hope y'all liked it. All right, let's move on, y'all. Project number 3. This one was a little bit easier. So my sister bought me these shoes at Goodwill. I love upcycling these little Dutch shoes things. Now, I don't know how the heck nobody wore these shoes, but if they did, my hat's off to them. But I'm not going to wear them, but I am going to upcycle them. And I'm going to start out with some more of that Sweet Pickins Extra Bond. I want to see if I can get some more crackle. And I'm going to put a really thick coat on both of these shoes. That's what I'm doing now. Once that's done, I mixed up some of Sweet Pickins milk paint in, I believe that is curry. And I added a little bit of butter to it so it wouldn't be so dark. And I'm just going to give it, I actually only had to give it one thick coat. So that's what I'm doing here, y'all. I just realized, y'all, that I said I added some butter to the curry. I meant butter as in the milk paint color butter. I added a little bit of butter to this curry so it wouldn't be as dark. Not real butter. I didn't throw in a stick of butter. Anyway, I went ahead and gave this one thick coat. I also painted the inside of each shoe as well. And y'all, I still did not give up on my idea from the bulb. Remember, I tried to use that little lark inlay on the bulb and could not. Well, I went back to that little lark inlay and I just started taking pieces off of it. I'm using my DIY liquid patina, and I'm going to lay these inlays in various places on these shoes, and it actually worked this time, y'all. I did make sure that milk paint was dry, and then I also took the shoes out and gave them a coat of clear polyacrylic just to seal that milk paint in before I came back with that DIY liquid patina. If y'all have ever wanted to try an inlay but didn't really want to use the bigger ones, even though the bigger ones can be cut down, this is the perfect inlay, y'all. It comes in different colors too, like some sheets are brown images, some sheets are blue, some sheets are green. I think you get 8 by 12 sheets, and this is the perfect little inlay to start out. Now, because I'm using liquid patina, I won't be able to reuse these little pieces that I'm using, but if you lay them into paint, you can actually reuse them. But I'll be honest, y'all, I rarely ever reuse my inlays. Once I use them, I'm done, whether it's paint or whether it's the patina that I'm putting them in. But I love using the inlays. Okay, so I got them on. I really did leave them on a little bit too long, because you should only leave them on dry to touch. Otherwise, you'll have a little bit of a time getting them off. But I left them on a little bit too long. But I gave them some extra water. That's what I'm doing here, just dabbing it to loosen it up. And then I can start peeling them back. And I so love how these turned out, y'all. They turned out so, so cute. So once the inlays were off and dry, I took them out again and sprayed them with some polyacrylic to seal in that inlay. And then I came back with some DIY white wax to pull out all of that crackle. Yes, I got crackle again with that extra bond. I did an inlay on the inside of the shoe as well. And I tied a little bit of a bow in the little holes that come on these shoes, y'all. And they turned out so, so cute. You'll see them coming up in just a second. All right, let's take a look back at our water-stained, plain little uncomfortable Dutch shoes, and take a look now, y'all. Oh my gosh, these really turned out so cute, y'all. Look how well those inlays came out on here. And look at that white wax bringing out all of that crackle. I added a little twine bow. And I really like these. Not enough to wear them. No, don't get me wrong. Not enough to wear them. But I do like them. I hope y'all do too. All right, moving on to project number 4. This is one of IOD's newest summer 2026 releases. This mold is called Bookish. It is like these bookends, y'all. And I have always wanted to upcycle a book. So this came just in time for an old book that I had laying around that I wanted to upcycle with this mold. So I'm starting out again with my not baking powder. It's whatever stuff I use. And I'm just putting my clay in now and squishing it in again. And then I'm going to pull it back with my thumbs up to that micro rim. And then we'll see how it goes. I just realized I said book ends, and they're really book spines, and they come in 4 different sizes, so you can kind of choose the size that best fits your book spine. So I'm kind of choosing, and they also have these little decorative things on each one, each end, and so I'm kind of choosing the one, not the smallest, but the next one up. And even it was a little bit too long, so I kind of had to splice it and then stick it back together. And y'all, I'm gonna be honest, I actually think I put it on upside down, but y'all know how I roll. That don't even matter to me. So I got it on there. That's what matters. So I'm just gonna splice it, stick it back together, take my tight bond, and apply it to the spine of this book. All right, now I'm gonna bust out Orleans. This is a new stamp, summer 2026 as well. Just came out from IOD. It's kind of like this city map thing, I guess, of New Orleans, maybe. It's called Orleans stamp. And I think this stamp is gonna make the perfect background for a lot of things, y'all. So I'm gonna start out, after I gave this book 2 coats of DIY's beadboard, I believe it was. Was it beadboard? I think so. I'm gonna take this stamp, ink it up, and I'm gonna apply it over that paint. Like I said, I think this stamp is gonna be such a workhorse. It's gonna make the perfect background for a lot of different things. So once that's dry, once the stamp is dry, I actually came back with some DIY liquid patina, let that dry, and then I'm going to pull out now some of the little transfers from the previous release, I believe it came from. This is IOD's Fairy Tale Florals, and I'm going to take a lot of the little florals from that transfer and I'm going to add it over the top of that map. This book is going to end up being a multimedia project. So I'm adding my transfers here. Okay, we're still not through. Like I said, multimedia or mixed media. And I am going to pull out another new transfer from IOD Summer 2026. This one is called Anthenium. I think that's how you pronounce it, Anthenium. And it's one of the gold foil ones. And so I'm going to use this page out of this book. It has a lot of different little sayings and quotes in it and words. This one says beauty in common things. So I'm going to start applying this to the right over those transfers and right over that map. And with the foils, y'all, you don't really have to press that hard. You just press just a little and it comes off perfectly. So let's take a look back, y'all, and look at where this book is now. Oh, I do love it. I do love how this turned out. Everything is kind of muted and kind of mysterious. And I also wrote the word poems on the side and used the apothecary label stamp. I think this book turned out so pretty. I hope you guys do too. Oh yeah, all right, y'all. We're still rolling. I told y'all we had 6 projects. Look at this cute little teapot. I got it from Goodwill. Yes, I did. And I wanted to upcycle it. So I'm going to start off by sanding off that little decorative feature that's on the front, and also it's across the lid of it. And then once I got that all sanded off and cleaned off, I'm going to use some of Paint Couture's bonding primer. And they recommend that if you're using chalk paint, that you do at least 2 coats. On this particular teapot, I did 3, letting each coat dry in between. And I think this one is going to be very popular, y'all. This is IOD's Summer 2026, the newest release. This is the Swans mold. And I love these little swans. Aren't they pretty? And you get 2 swans. And so you can, make like a little bowl out of them. Or, you get a little crown on here. They are really, really cute. So I'm going to be applying one of these swans to the front of this teapot. And I'm using my IOD clay, doing the same thing, putting it in, spreading it down and pulling it back with my thumbs, and then I'll flip it over and let gravity help me take it out. I'm using my Titebond Quick and Thick, y'all, and making sure that I get that glue all the way out to the end and trying not to over glue because I have a really bad habit of over gluing. And so now I've got it glued up, and I did not over glue, believe it or not. And I'm just going to pat it down onto the front of this teapot and let it dry for a bit. Now I'm going to come back. This is also a new mold with IOD for summer 2026. This is called the Cadre mold, and it has all these little flourishes on it. So cute. And I wanted to add a couple of those flourishes to the top of this teapot and along the edges of the handle and the spout. So once these molds are dry, I'm coming in now with some of this kaolin clay. I've been using that lately to create some texture, y'all. So I'm going to use it with some of DIY's black velvet paint. I'm just going to add it to the paint, stir it up till it gets really, really thick because I wanted to add some extra texture to this teapot. So I'm taking my French tip brush and adding that textured paint all over the whole teapot, including right over the swan. That kaolin clay powder works really well for to texturize your paint, and I got it off of Amazon, 2-pound bags. So if I can remember, I'll drop the link in again. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just stippling on now that paint with that clay powder in it, and I'm going all over this teapot, just getting all of that extra texture all brought to the surface. So once that was dry, I'm coming back now with a DIY's crinoline, and I am just kind of swiping, some big swipes, some thin swipes, just to continue with that textured organic look. And I'll do that all over the picture as well, and all over those molds that I put on there. And just like that, project number 5 is in the books, y'all. Let's take a look back at our sweet little teapot, and let's take a look forward. Oh, y'all, I really love how this turned out. Look at those molds. I put the Cadre mold on top and around the spout and around the handle. And y'all know I could not help but use some gold. So I did some of the Pentart gold wax paste on the swan and on the other molds. What did y'all think? I think it turned out cute. All right, y'all, for our 6th and final project, I'm gonna marry these 2 pieces together, y'all. And I got one from a friend from her architectural type pile that she had, and the signboard came from Goodwill. I think I spent like $6 on it. I'll be using Roycycle's Farm Animals paper. I love this paper, y'all. It is so, just kind of comedy like, it's just some of it is just kind of comical, especially the chickens. Those are the ones that I'm going to be using. Now the paper comes with both the chickens, whom I'm going to call Henry and Henrietta for the duration of this video, and the other side is cows. So I just tore off the cows. I'll use them on another project, but for this project I'm going to be using Henry and Henrietta. First thing I'll do here is I'm just going to take, again, DIY's black velvet to cover up those each side of that board. I'll give it 2 coats. I wanted to use the black because I had some deep red on one side, so and it gave me really good coverage. And then I can start now my decoupage, and I will just be using DIY's liquid patina. That's typically my medium of choice. And I'm just going to lay down my liquid patina in a strip, kind of like my anchor strip. And then I'm just going to get a good amount of that medium on there. Once I get my brush offloaded away from the paper, then I will come back and get that edge. I'm going to be using a little bit of cling wrap to press it down. And I'm just going to do that and keep moving. I'm only going to put Henry and Henrietta on one side of the board, and we'll have some typography on the other side. I also, as you can see, I went back after the black had dried and I painted the board white underneath so that my decoupage paper would stand out. And then I just painted the whole board white, kind of skipping around on the other side so it's that you can see some of the black coming through. All right, now I'm going to dip into my older stamp section, y'all. This is IOD's retro stamp. And the words are kind of, the letters are kind of, they're block type letters, but they have a little rim around them. But I'm going to be using them, because they have that rim, I'm going to be using them as a mold. And so I am going to be using the Amazing Casting Resin, the 10-minute formula. And I am just going to use that little rim that is on these letters to kind of treat them like they're a mold. And I'm going to make resin letters. And the reason why I wanted to do that was to be able to give my sign kind of this some definition, kind of a 3D look with these letters. So I'm just using my Amazing Casting Resin. It's the 10-minute formula, and I'm just mixing parts A and B. I'm stirring it up really, really well. You have to stir it up until that cloudiness goes away. You kind of have to be a little bit quick because it says 10 minutes, but somebody can't count because I know it sets up quicker than 10 minutes. So you kind of have to go ahead and get it stirred and make sure that it's clear in the end, that you get to a clear point, and then start pouring. So that's what I'm doing here now. I'm mixing and I'm about to start pouring. And I got these little silicone cups. I've had them for a while. I got them off of Amazon. And you can kind of pinch. It has this little point on the end. And so you can kind of pinch and pour. That really helped in this case because there were a lot of places that I over poured. But yeah, so these little cups help. I got them off of Amazon. And they're also good cleanup because once that resin dries, then you can just peel it out. Okay, once they were cool and hard, I can now just peel them back away from the stamp. And I have a resin raised type letter, y'all. I'm starting with this E here, and I'm just gonna peel them back away from the stamp, and I came out with a pretty good letter. Now, you want to keep your X-Acto knife on hand because you may need to do a few tweaks here and there. In my case, for some over pours. But yeah, they came out pretty good. All right, so I painted my letters now with 2 coats of DIY's black velvet, and I'm adding my quick and thick glue to the back so that now I can just glue them to my board. So I'm gonna wait till the end so y'all can see what it says on the end. But I'm starting here with these 3 letters that say why. It's kind of like a Scrabble. You know, can y'all, well, no, it's kind of like not like a Scrabble because I didn't give you enough letters. So anyway, you'll see on the end. If you guys are interested in any of the new IOD products from 2026, please visit my website at pecanporchboutique.com, and for some of the older ones too, like this retro stamp. I still have it on my website, and I also have the swoosh stamp, and I also carry Roycycle decoupage paper. So yeah, check out my website if you want to create your own project. All right, once that was done, I sealed everything up with liquid patina. And look at the back and look at the front, y'all. Henry and Henrietta have just one question or one statement. Why is you here? I thought this was so cute, y'all. I just had to have some fun after that debacle with the light bulb. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye-bye.